Divas, welcome back. We love that you are watching our videos. We hope that you are getting great value from them.
Yes.
And we want to talk about fights and how to pick them. Okay, we're not really talking about fighting. We're talking about the first 3 dates here. But let's just say that's a little bit of a term that's used, pick your fights. What does it really mean when it comes to dating? Oh, do I
Pick
have
your fights.
Okay. So what does it mean when it comes to dating? What do we mean by that? Do you want to explain, honey?
Well, a lot of our videos talk about, the first, second, third dates. This is really more of a topic that is beyond that. You are past the third, fourth date, and you found somebody that you think might be a long-termer. And this is critically important because a healthy relationship, part of it is having dialogue and having understanding toward the other person.
Okay, so here's where I disagree with you. I think this is super important the first 3 dates.
Okay?
Super important. It's okay that you don't think that, but I sifted and sorted through our conversations because I needed to know that there was a mutual respect for our differences, right?
Yeah.
That's important. I could have said I didn't like that you collected stamps, and that was boring to me, and I didn't want any part of that. And
Yes,
just sort
and
of
I'd have
called it
said,
off.
you're absolutely right. You're not going to have any part of that. Keep your hands off my stamps.
Yeah, right. Now, I am not a collector of things. I just don't collect stuff,
Yeah.
right? But I respect the fact that Jeff does. His brain works differently. He does a lot with the, what do they call a stamp collector?
Philatelist.
There's a big word for you.
Ooh.
He's a philatelist.
It sounds very, very, very impressive.
And he's also a history buff.
Yeah.
Now, I am a present buff. Not a present is in gift, although I do love
Oh, I
gifts.
was going to say, that's not true. You are a present buff. She loves gifts.
But I do love to live in the moment. I
Yes.
focus a lot on where I am right now, what's happening in this moment. And Jeff loves history.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in the first 3 dates, it's super important to know, can you handle what your person that you're dating is, especially if you're gearing toward you're liking the guy,
Yeah, okay.
can you respect what he does? I'm happy to give Jeff time at his computer or whatever he does to watch his history movies, to collect his stamps, and I obviously find other things to do. Just right downstairs. I love to read. I love to read. I love to enjoy.
Well, you love to write. You're a writer, and she's always writing
That's true.
her next book. But
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things. And then our channel here takes a lot of her energy, so she's usually doing something with the channel.
That's right. That's
But
right.
yeah, it's
That's why we appreciate when you subscribe and you hit the bell and all that good stuff. Thank you. We appreciate your
Yes.
comments. We
Well,
love them.
it makes a huge difference.
Yep.
It does. So thank you. We're getting. We're working towards 500 subscribers. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And it's exciting because we keep getting comments that we're helping people.
Yeah.
And that's the whole reason why we're doing this.
Yeah. So fun.
Donna and I have, in everybody that knows us, they are always like, you guys have such a phenomenal relationship.
Okay, don't digress. Go back to the.
Well, I'm not digressing, but they see that, and part of the reason that we have this great relationship, and we really do, is because we have dialogue, and we have come to the conclusion, she came to the conclusion, yeah, okay, I love to travel. She's a homebody.
I'm a homebody. This is a perfect example of pick your fights, okay? Perfect example. Jeff has been to how many countries now, honey?
44.
44 countries. I think I've been to 3. So, and I'm happy. And our first date, when he mentioned that he did all this traveling, I remember thinking to myself, now remember, I wasn't in love with him. I wasn't looking for marriage, but I remember thinking, oh, good, he's got that out of his system. Okay, so last year in 2024, we went to
Japan!
We took 4 flights. We went to Japan, we went to New York, I went to North Carolina, and we went to Florida. So I like to be home, okay?
Yes.
So that's the whole point.
Now, we
But-
went to Japan because our son Marshall and his Japanese wife and our little granddaughter live in Japan. So
Yeah.
we went out to visit them.
Yeah.
We went to New York because my niece won the Tony for Best Actress in a Musical, and that musical was coming to an end. It was also Musical of the Year. So we went out to New York for her birthday weekend to see the show.
I did like that. That was great fun.
Yeah, that was
But
great fun.
here's what's really great. Talk about dialogue. I sat down and I started to feel a little bit melancholy, a little pondering. I went into a pondering space. And I'm very tuned into feelings and emotions. And so if any of you have been watching me, you know I'm always talking about if it doesn't feel right, it's not.
Yeah.
And so we were lining up all these wonderful things to do last year. And I was feeling a little melancholy. And so I said to Jeff, I'm feeling a little sad about something. And he said, what? And I said, we're putting all of our time and our energy and our resources into traveling. And I'm really feeling like our home is being neglected. It's very important for me to have a caring, loving home and I like to spruce it up with new this or new that, or update this or update that. There's a lot of, as you know, your home needs updating.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, that's great. Let's do both. What do you want to do? And so we started to even out
Well, we wrote out a list.
Wrote out a list and we started to balance it out. Now, this is a great point. Now we're further along in our relationship. We're married 4 years at that time. So when I say pick your fights, I'm like, okay, I certainly want Jeff to be enjoying traveling. I want him to enjoy his life as much as I do. And I had to figure out what it was I was feeling so that I could share it with him. And then he turned around because he wants me to enjoy my life.
Yes.
He wants me to relish in all the things that bring me joy.
Yes.
And so this is super important. I had to verbalize it because I would have felt unsettled otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. And a healthy relationship, I remember when I was younger, it was like, well, it's 50-50. Actually, it's 150-150.
Right.
We are always trying to outdo each other, outgive each other, outlove each other. One of the improvements that we're going to do, for instance, we're getting new windows in the entire house. And she is over the top thrilled with that. I'm excited about it.
So
Nowhere
excited.
near as she is. But it's one of those things that if you're going to be in a healthy relationship, pick your fights. Is there something, especially early on, in my humble opinion, if there's something that it's like, okay, this is a game changer, this is a line that I cannot cross.
Right.
You need to determine that fairly early, because the last thing you want to do is end up in a long-term relationship, living together, married, and all of a sudden that comes on up, because that is going to be an explosive powder keg that blows up.
Well, and I can tell you exactly what that was for me. Jeff is a Christian. He reads the Bible. There's a word for it, theologist or
Theologian.
Theologian. There you go. He's read the Bible I don't know how many times. Lots of times. Went to a Bible college. I am more spiritual. I love God with all my heart and soul, but I look at it differently. And so I needed him to understand that I am more spiritual. And this is how I roll. I needed him to understand that, because that would have been a huge separation. That would have been the picking of the fight kind of thing, where it was, and there wouldn't have been a fight. It would just been, well, I can't resonate the way you're doing this, so it won't work. We won't work if we clash with each other, or if I wanted to try to get him on my page, or vice versa. So we have this mutual respect of understanding that we love the fact that we both love God, and even if we look at it differently. And so that's huge. That was huge.
Yeah, and we have great discussions about that.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Well, it is. I was thinking just a couple of weeks ago, we're driving in the car up north, heading north, and we ended up talking. We had a 2-hour drive, and we ended up talking about an hour and a half about this very topic.
Yeah.
And so
important.
Well, it is. It's critically important.
Yeah.
Pick your fights, quote unquote. And I hope you guys are understanding what we're trying to say when we use that term.
Yeah, because I always say,
we're not saying fight.
No, I always say, if it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, we love you. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for subscribing and commenting and all that you do. And always remember, at the end of the day,
it doesn't have to be that hard.